Have you ever been to a haunted house? Not a ride at an amusement park, not a Halloween excursion, but a home with genuine paranormal activity. Hayley lived in a haunted house for about a year when she was 15. She moved into an old ranch home near Fresno, California. The first clue that the home was haunted was what happened to her grandmother's ring. Hayley inherited a beautiful ruby ring from her grandmother. She made extra special care to keep it safe. It was always in her jewelry box. About 2 weeks after moving into the ranch home, the ruby ring disappeared out of the jewelry box. Her family said they didn't touch it, and Hayley believed them. She blamed herself, thinking she must have lost it on accident. She never suspected anything paranormal. The house was over 50 years old, and the ranch had been around since the Dust Bowl. It was an old Victorian-style home which was unique in the area. That's how old it was. At night, there were creaks and strange noises coming from the attic. Hayley figured they were just the sounds that old homes make, even though sometimes she swore she heard human voices whispering from above. Hayley's grandmother's ruby ring disappeared, but it wasn't until she and her sisters decided to explore the attic that the real paranormal activity began happening. When they opened the attic for the first time, a small doll fell out of the rafters. It was very old and broke as it fell to the ground. Hayley felt a chill go up her spine when the doll broke, and the room suddenly felt very cold. That night, both her sisters slept in Hayley's bed. They both kept saying the whispers upstairs were too loud. Hayley started finding their cat locked into this one room all the time. They had no clue how he got in there. They'd just hear him meowing. The cat hated that house. He would stay in the kitchen and never went anywhere near the side of the house where the attic entrance was. It took him weeks to come out of hiding from under the outside stairs when they first moved in. Hayley and her family didn't have central air, which was really tough because it would get very hot in the summer. They had a swamp cooler and would stay in the living room where it was cool. All the upstairs bedroom doors would be shut and there was absolutely no airflow. But the bathroom door would sometimes slam, and during very hot summers, there would be odd cold spots at the end of the hallway. Hayley could never get used to the way the door would open itself and then slam shut, even when they made sure the door was clearly latched. Hayley and her sisters started hearing breathing sounds outside their rooms that sounded like a child. They'd hear heavy footsteps like someone wearing boots in the attic almost nightly. At that point, even her parents began hearing the eerie noises. The whole family began to think the place was haunted. One night, Hayley was at her computer. All the other lights were out. She had a feeling she was being watched. Hayley turned around to see her porcelain doll staring straight into her eyes. Hayley grabbed the doll and stuffed it far, far back into her closet. This happened at least 2 other times with other stuffed animals, almost like someone had turned them to face her. Or maybe they turned themselves. Either way, they also went into the back of her closet. By this time, negative emotions were starting to affect everyone. It started getting to the point where negative emotions were tenfold on anything negative. For example, fear, sadness, anger were all extra strong. Watching a dumb, scary movie left you scarred for weeks. If you felt sad, you felt horrid. And if you were mad, you were in a rage. One day, Hayley's youngest sister was in the side yard, where there was a small crawl space down to a basement. Her sister ran into the house screaming that she saw something with dark hair and pale skin skittering into the crawl space. Hayley's sisters would also sleep together, especially after everything going on in the house. They both started screaming one night that something touched them, that there was something under the bed. Hayley's parents were legitimately concerned there was an intruder. They set up cameras everywhere, but there was no sign of anyone in the house. The whispers and heavy breathing outside of Hayley's room got so bad, she ended up sleeping in the living room with her sisters. It seemed like the quietest place in the house. It got to a point where just being upstairs, no matter the time of day, was terrifying, especially if you were alone. By the end, Hayley didn't know why, but she was certain that someone was going to get pushed down the stairs. Hayley was so worried for her sisters. Thankfully, her parents had already talked, and they were planning a move in less than a month. There were cold spots all over the upstairs during the day and during the night. It didn't matter. Hayley and her sisters refused to sleep up there. The air upstairs was somehow terrifying. The urge to leave and go downstairs was immediate. Hayley quickly packed her room, throwing away the creepy doll and stuffed animals she'd caught looking at her. The entire time she cleaned, she kept looking for her grandmother's ruby ring that had disappeared the first night they moved in. She looked everywhere and couldn't find it. The final night there, Hayley ran upstairs because she thought she heard the cat. There were meows coming from her bedroom. But when she got into the room, the meow stopped. And her closet door slowly creaked open. And she thought she heard a faint whisper and the laugh of a little boy. Hayley couldn't help it. She walked toward the closet. She knew it was empty. Hayley had packed the closet herself. She turned on her light, opened her closet door. She looked down, and on the floor in the middle of the empty walk-in closet was her grandmother's ring. One last trick. She snatched it off the ground, put it safely on her own hand, pulled out some sage, and spent the rest of the night in her parents' car. This is a true story, though names and details have been changed.